In this video, I talk with Chris Sasser of Port City Community Church all about how they reorganize their staff and their volunteers in family ministry in order to prioritize digital. They put staff and volunteers into one of three buckets so that they could focus more on digital and online as they serve families. Chris also talks about the three keys he believes are crucial to truly minister to families. And he also shares an idea that they're trying online to engage with families that I think every church should do. So I'm Nick Blevins. Thanks for watching this video. It's part of the New Digital Church course. It's bonus content for that course. Check out newdigitalchurch.com if you're interested in that. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see other videos like this. And of course, if this helps you, go ahead and hit that like button. Well, hey, Nick Blevins here, and I'm joined by Chris Sasser. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, Nick.
How you doing? Give us a little bit of an introduction about you and your family and your church.
Yeah, I'm Chris Sasser. Most people in life call me Sass. It's weird to call yourself that, but kind of all of us have been Sass for most of our life. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, out on the coast in kind of Hurricane Alley, if you will. We just kind of had one brush us and more coming, I'm sure. It's fun to be kind of preparing for a hurricane during a pandemic. I can promise you that. So I work at Port City Community Church. We're a multi-site church out here in Wilmington. We have kind of our main campuses here in Wilmington. We have a campus in Leland, which is not too far away. One in Jacksonville, about an hour away, kind of a military town. So very different kind of campus. And then one in New Bern, which is 2 hours away from where we are. So 4 campuses. I serve as the pastor of family ministries at the kind of main campus. I do kind of just some helping and advising with our other campuses in their ministries. Been here since 2013. Before that, I was at a church in Raleigh, North Carolina for 19 years, started primarily doing youth ministry, morphed into the family ministry role. I'm married to my wife, Karen. We've been married 18 years, 2 kids, a junior in high school, CJ, who just lost his football season or just got his football season moved. And so we're kind of navigating, what does that mean? And then my daughter, Kylie, is going into high school, but not going into high school. I mean, she's doing it, but not with anybody else. So, we're right in the middle of navigating all that. And so that's me. That's our church.
Yeah. And one thing I love about your church is how well you partner with parents. We all want to do that well. And you do that through a number of different things, but something you do that is somewhat unique. There's some churches that do it, but maybe I can count them on one hand.
Yeah.
Is you're using the web presence that you're creating, kind of like a hub for parents. And now, as we're talking, you actually created a second one too. So we'll talk about both of those. But tell us about kind of your parent hub and what that looks like. And then while you talk, I'll share my screen and people can kind of see if they're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah. So, a number of years ago, as everybody was, really kind of diving into jumping in, what does it mean to partner with parents? We were talking about that as well and trying to figure out what that looks like. And we created this thing called the Parent Network. And that was after about a year's worth of focus groups with parents. I think we had like 30 focus groups with kind of different groups of parents, and really only asked them one question is, hey, like, what do you need as a parent? We want to partner with you as a parent. So what do you need? And so after kind of a lot of conversations, what we decided is our mission is to equip and encourage parents to help their family walk with God. Our church's mission is to reach people and help them walk with God. And so as a parent network, what we want to do is kind of encourage and equip parents. And so during those conversations, we heard 4 things kind of come up over and over and over again that we just decided this is what the Parent Network is going to do. One is kind of just some events a few times a year, host a large event. That picture right there is of me and Stuart Hall. We're good friends, and Stuart's in the orange circle. And so Stuart kind of helped us sort of launch this thing. As you can tell, there's a lot of the orange words that they use in their Just a Phase. We kind of use a lot of that language in their Just a Phase project. So we do a couple times a year. In normal years, we'll do large gatherings with parents. Obviously, we're rethinking what does that look like. We heard parents say they wanted more events with their kid at church. So it's not just my kid goes here for, this ministry and I go there. It's what do we do together? So every year we try to do 4 events that a lot of churches do: daddy, daughter dance, father, son camp out, things like that. We try to connect parents to each other and kind of have mentoring, prayer kind of groups, all that sort of things. And we provide resources. And a lot of the resources that we use are from other places. Some of the resources are things that we've done. The page that you're on right now is all of our events that we've done. So you can go click on there and watch an event. So we archive all of those things. We've had Kristen Ivy and Mark DeVries and Tom Shefsunis, and then our pastor, Mike's done a couple of them with his family. And so we just have decided that we're going to listen to parents, and what they've said is we need help. And so we're just trying to help connect them relationally to people. We're trying to give them the resources that they need. This resource page right here, you can tell at the top there, you can see one thing that happened is we started providing coronavirus resources for parents really early in the pandemic. And I know a lot of churches did this, but we just wanted one page parents could go to read articles, to kind of get encouraged. Obviously, when the racial tension really bubbled up here in our country a couple of weeks ago, we had parents saying, hey, how can I talk to my kids about that? So we quickly created a page where we could kind of offer parents some things to talk about race relations and how to effectively and in a healthy way talk to your kids about it. And then we have just different categories of resources. And again, most of these are things that we're linking to other people's stuff. We're giving them full credit. We'll go to Family Life and All Pro Dad and Orange. And I've got some other friends that write some parenting things, Homeward and Jim Burns. I mean, all those things we're sending people to. And obviously we've got it by categories there. And then if you'll go all the way to the bottom there, Nick, you'll see one of our I think, most effective things that we do is our Parent Network podcast, where we do an interview we try to do it every 2 weeks, where we will interview somebody who's either a parent or in the parenting world, and just have a real conversation. Nobody's perfect. Nobody has the right instruction manual on parenting. And what people have loved about our podcast is that folks are just so authentic and real, and we just have good conversations. We had one of our staff members was kind of co-hosting with me for a number of years, and then she left. And recently it's been fun. I had my wife on as a guest for a particular conversation, and we quickly realized, she's a great co-host. So I get to kind of co-host that now with my wife. So that's kind of what our Parent Network is. One of the really neat things in our church that's happened over the last couple of years since we've been doing this is partnering with parents, and the Parent Network is now a part of our church's DNA. And I know that's not true with every church. And I think it's not true because it's sort of this side thing that people kind of do. And we've just been unapologetic about saying, oh, no. We have to do these. We have to partner with parents. So our senior pastor talks about the Parent Network. Other ministries are pointing people to the Parent Network. Our community knows about the Parent Network. And so it's just been fun to kind of dive into that and now see it be as valuable as it is in our church. So I'll stop there, see if you got any questions about that specifically.
What's this, the connections page, Parent Connect? What are these?
Yeah, so we started those during COVID, where we just knew parents needed to connect. And so we started these Parent Connect groups on Zoom, obviously, where parents can come together. There wasn't a curriculum. It's not a Bible study. It's honestly just parents connecting around, this is hard. What do we do? Some of those have moved now to in-person Connect groups. And so, and some of them are not meeting anymore because they kind of had their season of, hey, this was helpful for 2 months, and now we're kind of done with that. So we're just trying to do everything we can to equip and encourage parents.
What was that turnout like? I mean, because there's, on one hand, I think parents absolutely needed to connect and needed other parents to talk to, and just kind of like you alluded to, realize that, nobody's perfect, and that family's kids, they're having the same kind of issue. But on the other hand, during coronavirus, people were zoomed out. Like, did you get a good turnout during the midst of that?
We got a great turnout early, kind of, initially before Zoom out was a phrase. And then as people started getting zoomed out, certainly those connections or the kind of that attendance went down. But what was neat is we've got 2 folks on staff who their sole job is to kind of help us connect with parents. Both of them are part-time, both of them are phenomenal. So what they were able to do is to make those kind of personal connections via the Zoom groups, and then keep up those relationships just on phone calls. And now in one case, seeing some moms here on campus to pray together and talk together. So it felt like the Zoom groups were a great sort of initial connection, I'd say for probably 6 weeks. And then they certainly sort of dwindled down.
Yeah. You, in addition to creating those groups and obviously using the hub that you already created when coronavirus shut down in-person gatherings, you created another hub, right? Because you
Yeah.
needed another platform. So I want to look at that too. Tell us about what that was.
Yeah. Yeah. So initially that was, it's something we knew we needed to move towards eventually. Obviously coronavirus spread up us having to do that. but initially we needed a place for families to know about everything we were doing kind of for them as a family and for sort of us as a church. So we created portcity.family and the parent network kind of, obviously you can link to it right there. But we wanted for families to be able to go to one place. Oftentimes, and I talk to churches about this, oftentimes you'll have, a one spot for children's ministry and one spot on your website for student ministry. And it's just, I think, is helpful for parents to be able to go to one place and get all of it. We actually did a focus group with some children's ministry parents about 2 weeks ago. Hey, how are we doing in connecting with you guys as a family, and what can we do better? And they just reiterated, hey, we just need one place to go where we can get everything. We don't need to click here from an email and then go find another email to click there for our children. And just, can you put it all in one place? And we luckily we had. So this was born out of that. It's obviously something we need to have all the time. And so you can see there, all 4 of our ministries for kids are there with all of our different campuses, with the contact people for those campuses on them. And then at the top is where you can kind of go to the parent network. The student ministry resources right there is another page that we recently created. And this was amidst some of the racial conversations where we wanted for both parents and our student ministry leaders, for them to have good resources to talk about kids, to talk with kids about race relations. So we created that. We did a Zoom group with students to kind of present some of that. And then the Hang 10 episodes right there, that is our children's ministry has begun to do weekly episodes that we show kind of pre-service. So our services are online, and we have some hosts that kind of basically do a little talk show 10 minutes or so before our services. It's kind of the announcements, if you will, in a lot of different ways. Well, we've recently added Hang 10, and we're a beach community, so a lot of our things are water-ish kind of themed. And so Hang 10 is anywhere from 10 to 12, 13 minutes, and it's our children's ministry team that's done a great job of presenting some content. They do a little bit of worship. It's super creative. If you get a chance to go watch some of those, I would. And that's something that we're going to continue to do, I think, probably for a long time, is offer that content for kids online. We initially heard, we didn't provide anything for parents or for kids early when we were streaming our services. And we did hear parents they needed something for their kids, not necessarily to watch during the service, but at some point in the week. So that's where Hang 10 was birthed out of. So now we've got these 2 platforms. We've got portcity.family, where everybody can go to get all the information they need about anything going on with families. And then off of that, you can get to our student ministries and our children's ministry and our parent ministry. And that's, for me, if I think about a family ministry, I know that's a term that we use a lot in kind of our world. Family ministry, I think for most churches is, children's ministry and student ministry under the same umbrella, calendaring well, not fighting for money and all those things. I really believe that a whole family ministry, if you will, is kind of a solid foundational ministry for kids, a dynamic and engaging ministry for students, and a practical and helpful ministry for parents. You have to have all 3 of those if you're really doing ministry to the family. And so that's what we've sort of driven hard towards the last couple of years.
Well, that's a good framework for it too. A good way to think about it. And I know there's something else that you've been thinking about kind of related to that, is leaning into the family, and instead of just having targeted things for kids and for students and even separate things for parents, what are you doing for all of them together to bring families together? So tell us about what you're thinking about, what you're probably going to launch here soon, even though it's just like in the idea phase.
Yeah, it's something that we were hoping to have started to record yesterday, but had to kind of move some scheduling things around. I hope it's a good idea. It might not be. It may have a short run, but that's true with a lot of things we're doing nowadays, right? You just you sort of push a button and hope that it works. That's a phrase that our children's pastor uses a lot. We're just going to push the button. I think that as churches, sometimes we overestimate the way parents engage in things that we send home, maybe digitally, or even if we're putting something in their hands. I think if we give a parent, a piece of paper that's the kind of the God time card, if you will, and it's, hey, have this conversation at home. I think we probably overestimate how many people do that. I could be wrong, but that's just sort of anecdotally what I hear. And so part of what I think we need to do is I think we need to not just provide the resources. I think we need to guide parents through having these conversations with their kids. And I know a lot of churches do it in different ways. I know some curriculums, provide ways to do that. The way we're going to try to do it is in a similar way that we're doing Hang 10. We're also doing an online thing for our student ministry where students can go watch. But Hang 10 is targeted at kids. Parents can watch. And there are some, questions they could ask at the end to their kids. Student ministry things that we're creating targeted at students. Parents can watch if they want to. I wonder if there needs to be something that is targeted at the family, that the family can watch together. And we as the church help facilitate conversations. It's really no different than creating kind of what kind of a traditional video small group curriculum that you would have for, adults, where they sit in a room and somebody like me or you welcomes and facilitates and has a quick conversation, and then, hey, watch this little bit of content that will get your mind thinking. And then when you come back, hey, here's some questions that you can ask. Typically, if you're sitting at church in your room or in somebody's living room with your small group and you're having that conversation, I think we ought to be facilitating those conversations for families, because I think parents have to continue to embrace their role as the primary spiritual leaders for their kids. I struggle with it at times at home, so I sometimes need help. So we're going to hopefully create something that's a 15, 20-minute experience where we have a particular topic. Maybe it's around what we're talking about at church. Maybe it's around, something else, kind of maybe a felt need that families are feeling right now. And we basically provide some content for families to have a conversation in their living room and give parents questions to ask, give students and kids questions to ask. We're trying to figure out what's the right way to do it. If you've got a 7-year-old and a 15-year-old in the room together, maybe there's two different ones. We're going to create one targeted kind of at children's ministry and their families, one targeted at student ministries and their families. So I think we're going to do 3 episodes coming up soon, where it's family talk or talk it out. We haven't quite landed on a name or anything yet, but we're going to pilot 3 episodes where families can have a conversation in their living room about their faith and how they're growing. And we sort of help guide them through that, and just hope and see how parents kind of react to that. I do think we're going to make some phone calls and just have a specific ask to a group of families. Hey, we are asking you and your family to go through this and give us feedback on it. And then also broadcast it kind of to everybody else. So let's guide them instead of just throw stuff at them and hope they use it.
Yeah, and I like how you're going to recruit parents to give you some feedback on it. I mean, it's like a test drive. I think it's going to go really well. When we were talking about it before we recorded, I didn't think about this, but as we're talking now, I think about how our church created, and a lot of churches do this, your church probably does this, baptism resources for families so that parents can talk to their kids about baptism. Yep. And one of the best things about it is they do it together, but it equips the parent to lead it. So this makes, to me, this makes a lot of sense. The same kind of thing, just apply it there. That's a good thing.
Yeah, because I think often, even kind of in this digital space that we're in now, I think that we, and maybe I just speak for our church, I think we can be guilty of continuing to have parents rely on us to have those conversations with their kids, both younger kids and teenagers. Even though we can't come to youth group now necessarily, or we're not coming to our Sunday morning experience, church, can you still produce that for us? Can you still have that conversation with our kids, even though it's through a screen? And we've said yes. We've all shifted and said, yeah, we got to do that. And I just think we're missing a little something in that. And if we really believe that parents have to be the primary spiritual leaders for their kids, we have to stop taking that away from them. And we have to somehow guide them into it in a way that is easy for them to step into. And I do think in the season, asking a family to watch a 20-minute YouTube video, probably isn't hard. One of the things that we did hear from a focus group of parents, the same one I referenced earlier, kind of some children's ministry parents, is, and I was disheartened by this at first, but then it's probably me as well. Like they said, if you email us something and it's got something that we need to print out at home, or we've got to go find this material or this craft or whatever, we're probably just not going to do it. And so I think some of that some of the reason why we're doing these bags and boxes across the country is for that reason, is because here's the whole thing right here. Just open it and you can do it. And that's what parents are asking for. And I think it's true maybe in this digital space too, is here, just watch this, push pause. That's all you got to do. Find YouTube, push play, push pause, have a conversation. And I unfortunately, I think that's the world we live in. Parents need that in order to have these conversations in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great idea, and I'll be excited to hear about how it goes. And maybe we can come back and link to your videos, after you've done them. So if people see this and hear this later, they can come back and watch what you did. As long as it's still there, as long as it works enough that it's still there and present somewhere. That's right. But I think it's going to be great. I think kind of cueing parents that way and to do something together, that I think that will be easier for sure. Well, I so appreciate what you do for families, for partnering with parents in your church, how you share that with others, the resources, the innovation. I think that's what we need, right? To just keep thinking about what are new ways that we can help and encourage and equip parents. How can people connect with you or see that? Remind us of the websites if they want to go check that out.
Yeah, a couple things. It's pc3parents.org. That's here at church, or portcity.family. And I will share one more website that I've kind of developed myself, because part of, as I've been on my journey over the last couple of years, what I've realized is kind of equipping and encouraging people is what I've tried to do all of my life. So I'm kind of started this website called equipandencourage.com, and got social media at Equip and Encourage on Instagram and Twitter, where I'm writing some blogs and kind of doing some articles primarily for parents. And so if people want to go kind of look at some of those articles and stuff, equipandencourage.com, you can find it all from there. But and then personally at Sasser on Twitter and Instagram, we'd love to connect with people in that way.
Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Nick.